finally on the way, going against a strong headwind. Sort of like trying to find a job. I got on Simply Hired and was looking around, and that's a job website that the counselor at the Employment Commission suggested. And of course several others propped up that I already knew about, I just had never fooled with. Career.com, Career Builders. Anyway, yeah, I thought about going ahead and getting registered, but I think I'll wait until I get back, because it takes, oh man, it takes a while to do all that, to get your resume on, and especially if you can't upload it. I'm gonna have to stop here. You never know what these yahoos around here traffic-wise are gonna do. I'll be right back. Okay, do I expect to find anything? I mean, do I expect to find a job? I only expect, by going over there today and tomorrow, to get a better idea of possibly where I might want to live. I'll pick up some local papers and see what they have, talk to some local people. It's always good to just kind of get I mean, everybody's different. You can't judge a whole area by a few people you meet, but I'm just saying it's good to get an idea of the pulse, the local pulse. So it's always good to talk to people, and I never draw any conclusions from people I talk to. For one thing, you got to remember you're dealing with subjective human beings, so you can't depend wholly on what any one person or group of people say. Anyway, I'm going to see for myself. I'm just going mainly to get an idea, to see what industry I come across, if any, to get a handle on, well, just where you might want to live. There may be several things about that could, come up about a place that you just don't want to be, even if there is a job there. Anyways, you just got to go and see. So that's what I'm doing. And no timeline, no pressure. I'm just going with the full notion of just going to see with an open mind and see what we come across along the way. Well, let me tell you, I have been down some desolate roads in Texas. And let me tell you, the one I just went down, that is not at all somewhere where you want to have trouble. If you're afraid of traveling alone, don't go down that road. And over here, I just got over into New Mexico, and boy, there's some desolation here, let me tell you. Anyway, came across a herd of antelope that outnumbered the cows, probably 5 to 1. I've never seen herds of antelope like that. Anyway, definitely tell I'm climbing in elevation, and well, this is the route that I chose. I've never seen such a lonely road. Anyway, going through some of these towns, oh my gosh, you can see the contraction. This economic upheaval is just now beginning to manifest itself, and it does not look at all good. Anyway, I'm going to keep looking and see what I can come across. This is the kind of desolation I'm talking about. I have to admit, I'm very cautious about, stopping and seeing if somebody needs help. But I tell you what, if I saw somebody with a hood up in their car anywhere out in here, I'd have to stop and ask them, you know, if they needed help, or they needed water, or they needed gas, or they need something. Because this could easily be life-threatening to get broke down out here. I mean, even the farmhouses are few and far between. I mean, this is just genuinely, well, it's going up on the Caprock, but it's plains. Oh man, it's arid. I wanted to stop and just get out and stretch my legs. And I came across something so very interesting that I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to stop the tape, and then I'm going to, there's so much wind that you won't be able to hear a word I say, so I'm going to take a picture of it. This has nothing to do with the channel. It's just interesting. I'm going to take a picture of it, and you're going to hear nothing but the wind roaring, and then I'll get back in and explain. I know you're going to think you know what it is, but just hold on and let me explain something about it. Okay, I think you know what that was. Like, ho hum, so what? A piece of railroad track stuck in the ground. Well, let me explain something. First of all, I'm not going to disclose the location of this. This is in an extremely remote part of New Mexico. And considering what that marker is and designates, it's not just a piece of railroad track, it's a piece of narrow gauge rail steel. Very probably, especially considering where I'm at, very probably from the very first train track ever laid here in the 1880s. Maybe earlier, but considering where I'm at, I would say that I don't think the rails came through here before the late 1870s. Anyway, it's a narrow gauge rail steel, the kind that was on the very first steam locomotives. True antique. And like I say, considering where it's at, this place is going to stay top secret with me, because it's astonishing the lack of respect even supposedly decent people have when it comes to antique hunting. They have no respect of anything. But anyway, I wanted to share that. And if you go back and look at it, look at how weathered it is. That right there will tell you it's well over 100 years old. And for what they used it to mark for, I'm not going to disclose that either. But for what they used it for, I'm sure it was a very common, this particular, well, I'm not going to say any more than that. It's something that I can see being in this same spot right where it's at for probably 90 years at least. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. And I say, please have respect for not only other people's property, but for relics of the past in general. Let someone else come along and enjoy that. You know, it doesn't have to sit in your garden or in your front yard just because you like it. Anyway, I just wanted to share that, and I'll have more along the way. Oh man, this is remote. I tell you what, I love it. Well, this is the third or fourth time, I think third time I've been this particular route, since almost a year ago. And let me tell you, things are a lot worse all along the way. Where I'm at now, several businesses have closed just since October. So I have learned a couple of things that I needed to know. And that was part of the reason for coming up here was you got to define these ideas you have about where you want to go and live. You know, when you're unemployed and you're starting a new life, yes, this costs me money, but it's an investment in hopefully not making a mistake that you might make, you know, if you didn't actually come and see for yourself. But this is very distressing to see. I mean, I could just film one closed business after another. Oh my gosh. You know, just over any period of time, things will change. I would call this a drastic, I wouldn't even call it significant. This is a drastic drop in commercial infrastructure. In some of these places, my gosh, I don't know how they're going to survive. The vast majority of the places I've passed through are what I would call widow's community. They get that name from the fact that all the young people have moved off to, you know, go find a life in the big cities or metropolitan areas. And around here it's no different. And my gosh, I mean, they're dying, and the only people left are widows. I mean, not literally, but, you know, it's a big problem. I mean, it is that way in a big way. You know, if you haven't inherited a farm or a ranch, the chances of starting one is slim and none. And a business in these smaller places is just as bleak. There's a terrible attitude that predominates in, you know, smaller towns, you know, about who the what I call the permanent government, who the people are that have, you know, whose lives really don't depend on a business or something like that. And when you go and move to a place like that, it's not necessarily that they are actively hostile and try to run you out of business, but they will simply not patronize you and patronize even the bad blood that's been established there for a long time. It's a perverted mentality, and it's everywhere. I had not seen a small town anywhere in my life that wasn't like that. It's hard to get in, even in a fair market, but these are definitely not fair markets. But I'm not here for that, or even to talk about that. I'm here to see what the condition of things, and things have declined. Oh my gosh, so bad. This is where I want to live. That's the shame of it. That's is that when, you know, you have a place, there is nothing in this world worse than having, say, a good job and not hating the place you live, the area. I mean, it's one of those things in life that you have to decide, you know, the direction of your life, what you want out of life, what you want to try to get, the sacrifices you're going to have to make to get there, because you will have to make sacrifices. I've never seen a situation in my life. There's no such thing as a perfect solution. And where I'm at is where I wish I could live. My gosh, I wish I could live here, but you have to be realistic. And with yourself, I mean, unless you just want to be tormented by it all, you have to reach a modus vivendi, a middle ground, you know, a give and take. So I'm not even disappointed or surprised. Really, this is about what I expected to see. And because the people in this area, when I was here last time, told me how they were teetering on the edge. There is one business here that's still, and I just talked to them. They told me last time it was for sale. And I asked the lady when I was in there a while ago. If it, she said it's been for sale forever. We can't find anybody to buy it. Things are not good, people, and they are about to take a nosedive off a precipice. All you can do is keep on plugging, keep on trying, don't give up, keep a positive mental attitude. Give in to the fact that you're going to be down about these things, but just don't stay down. Let it run out, let it pass through, and then pick up where you left off. I mean, if you get down about it, be down about it as long as you need to, but not 1 second longer. Don't waste your life like that. So all you can do is just keep plugging and have faith. That's numero uno. Have faith. It'll be okay. It will. For me, for you, for everybody. So, and there'll be a great deal of suffering. It's coming down the pike, but for some people it will be short-lived, and for some people it'll last a long time. And some people may not live through it, but just keep plugging along and put your energy where it belongs, and have faith in the good Lord. You'll be amazed at what'll happen too. It may not happen right away on your timetable, but give it a chance to happen, okay? Anyway, I'm going to head on back home. This answered pretty much what I needed to know. And even a direction deciding you don't want to go in is a direction forward. So just hang in there, it'll be okay. I just went through a recreational, town it's by a lake, so it's based on gets its revenue from recreation, and and literally this town would not even exist if it were not for that lake. Oh, there might be some little tiny, it just simply would not exist, right? And my gosh, they are feeling the pinch. I stopped there at a Subway for supper, and oh man, this is something, when you go through these towns, and it's not any one particular place. I mean, it's where I live. It's the biggest city close to where I live, 200,000 people. You see it there, evident in 100 million ways. But the weirdest thing about this experience, this is something you can feel. You go through these towns, and it's something you can feel. You can feel this economic squeeze. It's the weirdest thing. The closest town where I live, it's 200,000. There's still people that, you can drive past the restaurants, and that, I just don't think that's something that's not going to change. People will continue wasting money that way right up to the day that they're flat, busted, broke, and the walls come crashing in. That's one thing that has made countless fortunes, is banking on people's laziness. And I don't have anything against, an occasional night out, enjoying yourself, but this is a disease epidemic of people eating out during they will say in this area that the party line on any news broadcast is always the same typical lies, that everything is fine, we're in an economic recovery, and the lies just go on and on and on. And they reflect the party line of the liberal point of view that they support. The truth is the only place you see the truth is if you're in a position like I am, with a skilled trade, higher higher education degrees, 2 bachelor's degrees, trade school training, years of supervisory experience, and you can't find a job anywhere. The proof is in the pudding, so they can lie all they want. But my point is this: is that at this point, when the time comes that the news media, the liberal news media, will actually, and there will come a time, I'm convinced of that they will shout it from the rooftops that we are now in a major depression, and like it's their idea and that nobody else would have thought of this, and it didn't happen until they said so. That day will come, and of course they can go their foolish way all they want. But my point in it is, right now, until the public at large acknowledges that, because people, that is human nature. People don't want to own up to the mess they've caused, especially if it's a terrible one. And the day will come when that'll all happen. But my point is this: right now, until that does happen, this is something you can feel. It's the weirdest thing. I mean, I've just been watching people's behavior, how they nervously check their billfold before they go into a place of business or their purse. So they'll walk up to the door and turn around and go back and leave. I mean, this is not isolated incidents. It's interesting. It's an interesting experience. I'll put it that way. The last bad recession was for me was in 1984 during the oil crash of 84. Lasted 6 years. I couldn't find a job for 6 years. I had to do odd jobs, and anybody that had a job, I mean, absolutely not only unsympathetic, it was beyond their it was incomprehensible to them that you shouldn't just be able to walk out. The denial is fantastic. It's just absolutely indescribable how even during that time of that bad recession, people said, well, it's got to be your fault that you don't have a job. There's no way that, I have a job. What's the problem? People are just that stupid. Anyway, this time around, and that was a bad recession, and it crashed very fast. I mean, within a summer, even shorter, I would say less than 3 months, and in some cases overnight. It was the most shocking decline you could experience. This time, it's very slow. It's undeniable, but it's very slow. But it's how it feels. That's what's different. I mean, you can feel it more than you can see it, and people, they just don't want to talk about it. That's the amazing thing. They know it, they, in some cases, acknowledge it. It's just amazing. This time is so different than 84. I can't even tell you. Unless you were there, unless you experienced it, unless you knew people that went through it, and I mean just the horrible, you can't even, there's nothing in this world worse than when you want to work, and this is evident. There's 100 million videos out there right now, even documentaries on it. There is nothing in this world worse than you wanting to work and you can't. Excuse me, you can't find a job, and there's no real sense in it. I mean, there's no sense in why things are like this. Anyway, it's very striking to me. I know this one will be worse than 84. I think it already is. I mean, from what I see, the visual evidence is just now at this point, and we're only at the beginnings. It's as bad as 84. With businesses closing, it's as bad as it was then. Anyway, this situation is it's very different. It's I almost hate to say, how is it going to be when it really bottoms out? Very scary.